fitty or fit 7Y. The way you coach up, right? The way you could try to coach a boys team that has poor fundamental skills and lacks some, the big picture idea is focus on four drills in every practice, and they are possession, finishing on goal, crossing and finishing, and then you split your whole team up into 3 teams, and you bring the ideally large goals, game-sized goals in close together, and then you play King of the Hill style scrimmage until the end of practice. And then the team that's sitting out surrounds the field, and they're playing as neutral players with one touch, right? When one team scores on the other team, the team that's surrounding the field comes on. And the reason why this is effective is because it's easy to understand as a coach, right? It seems like you played in high school and you have some familiarity with playing. So, a lot of coaches, I see a lot of coaches posting on here, and you'll see some coaches who suggest a lot of complex drills and training routines, or they're always looking to switch it up. Why this is effective is because it's not the best coaching routine practice session in the world, but it's simple enough to be effective. And if it's simple and effective, then it can start to be fun, because they're kind of the fundamentals of what you need to do as a team to win games, right? You can't just defend, or else you're just gonna, right? Like, you need to be able to put the ball in the back of the net, and you need to be able to transition from offense to defense, from defense to offense and offense to defense, and ideally keep, you want to keep the ball in their half as long as you can. You want to possess the ball in their half, away from your goal, and just light their goalkeeper up with shots the whole game. So if you do that every practice, right? So every single practice, if you do the same thing, it's going to get the players into a rhythm, because it's going to be novel, because even though it's the same format, there's going to be nuances in each. It's like you go to work. Your workplace or environment is the same, but it's different because there's variation even in the same thing. So as you repeat this sequence of events, right? Possession, finishing on goal, crossing and finishing, and then playing to big goals on a small field with the team sitting out as neutral players with one touch, the players will actually get better. Not only will their fundamental skills improve, but they'll get better at practicing, right? Because it's almost like, I think they say it goes from right brain to left brain, right? They're understanding they're already anticipating what's gonna happen. So this is the routine that was taught to me by Coach Doug Nevins, who coaches, I believe he still coaches out of West Orange High School, and he was voted Gatorade Coach of the Year. This guy's a former pro, and I just I just love this format of practice because it's just so much fun. It was so much fun. Okay, so we're gonna go into details into that later. But if you want to start to help them develop fundamental skills, a lot of coaches don't teach breathing. Well, let's go back a step even further. Right, I think Ted Lasso is a great example of why you want to. It's like you're not just growing soccer players; you're growing, young minds. So you always want to do the right thing on and off the field. And I think a lot of players or a lot of coaches will say it's not about, it's not just about winning, but the way they operate is actually the only thing they care about is winning. So it's almost like you want to destroy your opponents, but in a classy way, in a way that, you beat them so bad, but with so much respect that, they'd invite you to have dinner with their family after the game, right? So I think that's something that a lot of coaches aren't thinking about, new coaches especially. Okay, second thing, breathing. If you don't know, if no one's ever taught you how to breathe effectively, this is something that not only is it great for soccer because it's going to improve endurance and stamina, but it's also going to help you stay calm on and off the field, right? This translates to off the field. If you search Dr. Vranich, V-R-A-N-I-C-H, how to breathe, this is something I wish I knew years ago. This is something that I wish someone taught me. So a good test to know if this is relevant to you is take a deep breath. If you take a deep breath and your shoulders go towards the ceiling, right? If you go and your upper back shoulders are going up, this is using a lot of energy. Dr. Vranich, she teaches belly breathing, right? So it's gonna go. This style of breathing, it massages your internal organs with your breath. It takes pressure off your spinal column, and for reasons far deeper than I can understand, it's just more beneficial than breathing with your upper back and shoulders. So that would be, you want to learn this so that you could teach it effectively, right? You have your whole team line up. You go down the line and say, take a deep breath, and then, most people just don't know how to do this because it's not taught. Breathing and relaxation techniques aren't taught as effectively compared to other countries around the world. So that'd be a great place to start. Okay, so we have doing the right thing, breathing. Okay, then it's skills development. So an option would be, you gotta make skills, you gotta make fundamental skills effortless and fun. So you could say, okay, maybe before practice, or you give them the option, and I don't know if this is feasible with your schedule, but let's say practice starts at 3:30, and they get out of class at 2:45 or something. You could say, and maybe you could get to the field for 3. It's basically create a time window, a small time window before practice, where if they want to show up earlier and play fun skills games, that they can, right? You make that available to them, or you show them how to do that themselves. And a simple sequence to do that looks like this, right? It's ball mastery. Ball mastery is to understand some fundamental ball mastery skills. The Cover coaching app is a great tool for this. It's COERVER, Cover coaching. So, right, because then they'll learn toe taps, right? Toe taps. So there's a progression of moves. So one thing is toe taps, then insides, and then it's toe tap stop, toe tap stop. So the first part of the sequence of the skills session could look like that. Ball mastery, and then it's dribbling sequence. A dribbling sequence could look like this. My favorite one is, this routine is from Tom Turnbull out of New Jersey. So his sequence that he taught was outside, outside, inside, outside, inside. Outside, outside, inside, outside, inside. You have the players say that out loud while they're doing it. This is important because it helps develop a mind-body connection, right? They're going to internalize it faster. And what it's actually going to do, as you do it more and more, it helps you not think about dribbling, right? It's going to make players more comfortable on the ball, on the field, so that they're going to start to be able to dance around defenders, right? They're just going to, you're actually going to see it. If you teach this enough, you're actually going to see your players be on the field going outside, outside, inside, outside, and then either take a step away from a defender, finish on goal, or take a step away from a defender and then pass the ball off, right? So that's how that's going to translate. Next part of this little mini skills, the skills routine, is the barrel game. With a ball of any size, all you do is have players line up around a bucket, a barrel, a garbage can, a flower pot, anything. And all they do is, starting with the balls in their hands, right? Assuming they have the most basic level of almost non-existent skills, literally one step from some type of vessel, you have them have a ball in their hands, and then this is all they do. Thigh into the barrel. And then they do left thigh into the barrel. And then you do foot into the barrel. See, look, I've been playing soccer for 27 years, and right, I'm 1 foot away from this thing. Foot into the barrel. left foot in the barrel. And then you do alternating, right? So you could go, and then you could go, as they take steps away, they could add a bounce, right? So you go bounce, kick, bounce, kick, bounce, kick, in, right? So it's just different combinations of going with the feet, the thighs, alternating with or without a bounce. So you go right thigh, right foot, then alternating right and left foot. So right thigh, left thigh, in, or right foot, left foot, right foot, in. And then you could start to have the players race against each other as they go through the whole progression, right? So the whole progression would look like this. Let's say you only have 2 players, or it's you and then one other player who shows up for your little skills session before practice starts. The player you're coaching is a few steps away in that direction, and you're lined up here a few steps away, and then the whole progression is right foot with a bounce, left foot with a bounce, both feet alternating, right thigh with or without a bounce, left thigh with or without a bounce, both thighs alternating with or without a bounce, and then you finish with a combination of any body part you want with or without a bounce. So I'll show you the whole progression right now. Right? Let's go right foot with a bounce. It's actually pretty freaking slippery, and this ball is flat, which makes this not good. I'm just gonna skip to, since my ball's flat, I'm gonna do no bounce. That's just because of, it's wet. This is actually pretty not good spot. Right, so no bounce. So pretend you're competing against your player, right? So you guys start to race against each other. So it's a fun, right? This is fun. This is a juggling game with forward ambulation. Forward ambulation just means while walking forward. So this is gonna give them, right? This helps rapidly develop not only juggling skills, but the ability to take the ball out of the air and orient themselves to a target, i.e. the goal, is ideal because you could start to catch defenders off guard as you get very good at this game. This also helps players dribble because the weight of each touch as you're juggling while you're moving forward really helps them develop their skills. So then it's left foot, no bounce. Both feet alternating, no bounce. Right thigh, no bounce. Left thigh, no bounce. Both thighs alternating, no bounce. And then any body part you want without a bounce. Right, so that's the whole progression. So you don't want to whistle. You don't want to, right? Let's say you have a whole bunch of kids playing this game. You don't want to go each. You don't want to pause the game, right? Because if Tommy's better than Bobby, they kind of go at their own pace, right? And they could start from different distances. So players who are more advanced start from further away. More beginner players can start closer to the barrel. That's why this scales beautifully for players of different levels and abilities. Okay, so let's say you play this game for a few minutes. Then the last part of this little skills routine is 1v1 to cones. Ideally, you have 2 cones, the tall cones, the ones that you could knock over with a ball, and then you're playing 1v1 against each other in a small area, right? So let's say you have 17, or let's call it, your team's got 17 players, or let's call 16 players for the sake of even numbers. You line up 16 cones, right? So use the sideline, you set a line of cones up, and then a couple steps, you put a cone down, couple steps, cone down, and then you mirror the cone line a couple yards that way. So you've just created playing 1v1 grid, and then for 5 minutes they try to knock up, everyone pairs up, they play against each other, and then 5 minutes later they switch partners, play, 5 minutes later switch again, play for 5 more minutes, right? So 3 games, 5 minutes apiece, you call it, or however much time you need. And that's a fun skills warm-up that can lead right into the team training. Okay, Team training, possession. Possession game, simple. 2 teams try to connect 4 to 5 passes. You can say 4 passes together, and then the first team to connect to 5 points wins the game. That's a simple version of possession. You want to make sure that the possession area is smaller, right? You don't want to have a giant area that the players are playing possession against each other, because as you tighten the area that they play against, it's going to force them to make faster decisions, right? It's going to force them to be more creative and use the space that's allotted to them. If you make it big, then I think it takes away from what you're actually trying to accomplish, which is fast decision making, creativity on the ball, and recognizing time and space, and just, I guess, and keeping the ball, right? It's a possession game. The game is to keep the ball away from the other team based on how much space you have, right? So you set a boundary, but if you make the area too small, then that'll inhibit ball movement as well, and player movement. So you know, you got to be, you know, you just got to start to develop your own judgment or awareness of how big the possession area is, and you know, you have a limit of time for practice, right? So you want to use the natural lines that are on your turf field or your grass field, whatever you have, so that you're very efficient, right? You're hyper efficient. So let's say you have the halfway line, and you have the 18-yard box, and then you have the sideline. So you kind of want to maximize. You want to be, you know, very time efficient. So whatever, as many lines as are already on the field, you want to be able to use those lines to create your grid with cones or whatever you have. Okay. So that's possession. Finish on goal. So you take 10 steps away from the 10 steps, 10 yards outside of the 18-yard box, and you have all the players lined up, and then all they're doing is dribbling as fast as they can towards the goal, and then they're slotting the ball in the side area, low and hard on the ground, low, hard driven ball. And Coach Nevins would call this slotsville, right? You would slot the ball on the ground into the side netting, low, hard driven ball. So you do that for 10 minutes, and then the next thing he would do is he would call it volleysville. The coach, right? You start at the top of where that same line starts, and then, but this time you have players give you the ball in the hands, right? So they give you the ball in the hands, they're lined up behind you, and you have them face you. You're facing the goal, and you throw the ball over the head, so they spin around, and they have one touch to finish on goal. Sometimes this might be tough if your grass field or your field is so crap that the ball doesn't bounce when you throw it over your head. So that's just something to keep in mind. So okay, so you do that for 15 minutes, and then you go into crossing and finishing. Crossing and finishing, you have 4 lines at the halfway line, 2 crossing lines, 2 finishing lines in the center, right? So 4 lines all day. You're alternating between the right side and the left side players who are crossing, right? So let's say right side goes, dribbles the ball up the sideline, crosses the ball in. The 2 players in the middle, they make a crisscross run, finish on goal, 1 touch. And then left side goes, and you don't want to be using a whistle at any point of this, right? You kind of want to have the players go at their own accord. Then left side goes, same thing. Players crisscross, finish on goal. So you might need to pause a few times during this drill, because balls will go either beyond the net or they'll go into the net, in which case you'll have to retrieve them. So you might need to reset maybe 2 or 3 times in a 15-minute time window to recalibrate, right? Rebalance the lines out. So you want to have the wingers rotate, you want to have the finishing lines rotate. You can even have if you have 1 or 2 goalies, you have them rotate in and out of the goal. Same thing for finish on goal, right? It's kind of psychologically tough if a goalkeeper's in net and then they're just basically getting blasted, over and over. You tell the keeper, pop out in and out of goal whenever you want, because you don't need a keeper necessarily to finish on goal, to do a finishing drill. You also want to tell the players, make the keeper make a save. Right? If you have players doing finishing drills and they're not even hitting the frame, then that's not good. Right? You got to have the keeper make a save because you're doing the keeper a favor if you can't even hit the net. So you gotta, you gotta keep the keeper. You gotta keep the keeper honest and don't make games harder for yourself to win. So that's why you really want to stress. You really want to stress just basically player looking at the goal to see the target that they're aiming at and actually hitting the target. Because if they can't get it right in practice, then it's not going to happen in the game, right? Okay. So possession, finishing on goal, crossing and finishing. Oh, here's one more thing you want to keep in mind for crossing and finishing. You want to make sure that the player on the winger players, when they're making their dribbling up the field, right, couple of dribbles and then they cross the ball in, you tell them angle their run in slightly diagonal, so slightly towards the goal. I remember I used to try to dribble away from the goal. I would almost try to dribble to the corner flag and torque my body to cross in, and my coach Doug said, Andrew, just make a diagonal run towards the goal to make the cross easier. So that was just a tiny insight that really changed my ability to cross the ball effectively towards the goal. And then the last part is the most fun. Bring the goals in close. You make a small field, split the team up into 3, and then it's King of the Hill style scrimmage until the end of practice. Maybe cool down stretch, cool down at the end of practice, and then a stretch, and then you're done. And the reason why you want to split the team up into 3 is because if you only have 2 teams scrimmaging against each other, there's nothing gained and nothing lost, right? If one team scores on the other, okay, you just get 1 point down. But when players have to get off the field, they can't play no more, right? Players who love to play. So this is a game that's going to raise intensity, raise the competition level within your team. If you could raise the intensity of your practices and you get to a game, it's rare that you'll be the more intense team and lose the game, right? So this is a great way to finish a practice on a high note with great energy, right? You really want to have the players, the last thing they're thinking of how much fun practice is. It gets them motivated and excited to run it back the next day, right? A lot of coaches will compensate for lack of knowledge with yelling, which is demotivating, and because maybe they don't know how to communicate, how to teach skills or team tactics effectively. So, right? So let's recap again one more time. Every single practice, if you just put the skill stuff aside, let's say you don't have any time for that. Every practice is possession, finishing on goal, crossing and finishing, and then playing to big goals on a small field, right? The big goals are brought in close. You make the sidelines a little bit tighter, and it's basically, and then so what starts to happen is rapid decision making, and rapid transition from offense to defense, right? So rapid transition from offense to defense, right? Because since the goals are so close together, if a defender loses a mark, if there's a good spell of passing or good movement off the ball, there's a scoring opportunity almost, there should be a goal scored every 2 to 3 minutes. If a goal isn't being scored every 2 to 3 minutes, that means your goals are too far apart, or your field is too big. So a tight field with big goals creates scoring opportunities and really teaches players to execute, and it's just a fun style to I just miss those practices. I remember them like they were yesterday. So hopefully this helps. Oh, here's one more thing. Warm-up. If you're not familiar with a fun warm-up, there's something called, if you search, locomotion. Beginner locomotion routine with Ito Portal. If you could master this so that you could teach it, you're going to have players laughing in the beginning, but Ito Portal, this man knows how to move. So you watch him move and you see what you think of it, because when the other team, if they see you warming up like this, they're going to know that you're not messing around. So give that a try. That's definitely worth a watch. So hopefully one last thing. You said that players don't know how to, they say that they want to improve, but they don't really spend time off the field doing it. You got to trick players into becoming more effective effortlessly, and not in a bad way, more in the sense that you got to show them how it could be fun and effortless. This is an SKLZ Star Solo Kick Trainer. It's just a size 1 ball on a rope, a little bit shorter than your hip bone to your ankle, and if the only thing you did was the whole practice use this thing and not say a single word about it, your players will automatically start to pick it up and kick it. This is exactly what I did with my college team. I was a second assistant to Salve Regina University, D3 ball. And I didn't tell any of the players to use this thing, but midway through the season when they saw me using it, some of them started to pick it up and kick it, and then started to realize the potential of this simple ball and a rope. It's balance, timing, rhythm, coordination, proprioception, all tied into one. It's moving meditation, right? Improves your first touch, your ability to balance, and it's rapid feedback, right? You don't need to wait for a partner. You don't need to go to a wall. You don't even need to leave your bedroom or your kitchen. You bring it everywhere you go. It's great for busy cities or busy areas where there's a lot of high traffic people, cars or bicycles, and you could just get a lot of touches and not worry about the ball running away from you. So players who get frustrated easily, this is a great tool for them because they get a lot of repetitions and can really hone in on a perfect striking technique. So hopefully some of these ideas help. Reach out with any questions.